the law of magnetism. So we're covering obviously the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership with John Maxwell. And the purpose of this whole series is to not just bring to life the book. That's not the purpose of the series. The purpose is to be able to read the book, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, to study the book and the principles in the book, and have and begin to allow those principles to be applied to our life. And so that's that's where we see this thing going. We've seen it before when the original book came out in 1999. We not only read this book, but we went through the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership on a 21-week series with a conference call and the cassette tapes that were created from that conference call. And we saw everybody around us flourish in all facets of life, not just in our business, but in their marriages, in their jobs, getting promotions, people that became business owners as a result. And so people just began to flourish because they were applying the principles of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And so our purpose and desire is for you to grow as a leader in every facet of your life, so you can be a world changer in everything you do, in your marriage, in your family, in your church, in your community, in your profession, in your entrepreneurship as you start businesses, and even in our business here as we work together. So it's really all encompassing. We're not just trying to get you to become a better brand partner. This is about you. This is about wholeness, you becoming emotionally healthy and in every facet of your life. And so today is the law of magnetism. Any comments, Don?
No, I agree. That's really what our heart's desire is for you guys to see the ways that you can take what we're talking about and implement it, because it's, all these are great teachings and they're all great words, but nothing changes unless we decide to make changes. And if we want change, then we have to decide to change. And so we're hoping that you're really getting some great revelation out of this, and you're really, taking a hard look at yourself, because if you do desire, to accomplish great things here or in life, being a better wife, a better husband, a better mom, a better dad, all of these things apply, a better friend, whatever it may be, all of these things apply in great ways. So, it is always the self-evaluation so that you can take what you're learning and that you are applying it. We've heard last week was absolutely fantastic. We know that Rick and Brittany did a great job. And so again, we hope that everything that you're learning from all of us, that there's application involved.
Okay, so let's dive in and look at the law of magnetism here. Diane and I love this. We love this topic. Actually, I just got off the phone right before this Zoom with one of the most magnetic people that I've ever known in my life. His name's Pastor Mike Gowans. He's down in San Jose, Costa Rica right now. And I said, man, I wish you were on here to teach this chapter today. And it's because he's truly a magnetic human being. He's a pastor at Bethel Chandler Church in Arizona. And that's why he's one of my best friends, is because he is magnetic. He's a people magnet. And so let's talk about how magnetism can affect our leadership in our life today. So I'm going to pull up some slides that my queen here created, because she's really good at it.
Oh yeah, they're very simple.
Well, she created them this morning, because we're after our Bible study. This is kind of where we were this morning, and she can throw stuff together pretty good for someone that's not a graphic artist. So, John Maxwell says who you are is who you attract. And that is the topic of today, because you got to look around you and who you're attracting. Think about all the people you're attracting. That's really who you are.
That's a great self-evaluation of who you are, when you stop and really evaluate who is around you and the people that are your closest friends and who you're recruiting.
And it's not necessarily negative. It could be positive. It could be extremely positive. It could be extremely negative.
It could be very eye-opening.
It could be just kind of in between. But when we self-analyze our life and see and really analyze the people that we're attracting, it does help us grow and discover our own blind spots. So you don't attract who you want, you attract who you are. Your character, your energy, and your consistency set the tone. So ask yourself today, would I follow me? That's a big question. Okay, so here's a great assignment. Hopefully you have a journal out, because we're gonna have a moment of silence here. And it's going to come with these three. You don't have to think about a lot about this, but you do want to write them down. Who are the 3 people in LifeWave you know that you would want on your team if you could recruit them today? Anybody? Who are the 3 people? Okay. And we're about to go silent, but who are also the top 3 people in your life that you would want on your team if they would say yes to you today? Meaning the top 3 people in your life that are not in this business. So 3 people in the company. And if you're brand new, you may not know 3 people in the company. So that's okay. But at least the next one applies to you. Who are the top 3 people in your life outside of this company that you would want on your team if they would say yes to you today? Okay. Write those 6 people down. 2 sets of 3. Okay. You probably didn't have to think too much about that, but hopefully those people are on your list. They're in your journal or on that sheet of paper in front of you. And there's a strong reason why those people came to your mind. So here it is. Go ahead, Di.
So yeah, so the very qualities you admire in others are the ones that you need to grow in yourself. Because it really is about, you know, when you see other people, when they automatically come to your mind, there's things and qualities that are definitely something that you would automatically want or desire to grow in. So needless to say, that's just a key. Like, pay attention to those qualities. You don't just attract success, you attract the character behind success, because a lot of times we're thinking about, well, they're successful, but it goes back to there's things that made them successful. So we always have to figure out, like, what are those things that are, remember, magnetism, drawing you in to who they are and, you know, the type of individual that they are. So the people you wrote down will reflect back to you and who you need to become. It's that simple.
And, you know, we actually, this part of this idea came from, we just got back from Mexico with really 36 of different brand partners, but 25 of our trip earners from Passport to Paradise. And when we had our business training the day we were there, it was powerful business training by all of our senior presidential directors. And I can't remember which one it was, but I took notes on it. One of our senior presidential directors asked that question: close your eyes, and who are the top 3 people right now in LifeWave that if you could have them and they'd be on your team and you could choose them, who would those 3 people be? Now, I'm not going to tell you who the 3 people I wrote down are, but when I look at all 3 of those people or couples, it's magnetism. It's magnetism all the way around, and likability. Okay, so I want to tell you something about magnetism. Guys, a piece of steel has the ability, a piece of magnetized steel has the ability to pick up 12 times its weight. Magnetized steel. So look at this. You know, if I've got a piece of magnetized steel, if this is an example, you know, things are just going to stick to it. They're going to stick to it. Why? Because of its magnetism. And so I can actually have 12 times the weight on here. You know, I could grab wrenches on here and put on here. And it's just gonna keep loading up because this is magnetized. And picture if this was you in your life versus, you know, I know this pan is not steel, but it's the principle of this is demagnetized. So everything that won't stick, Nothing's sticking, and because sometimes that's us. We're demagnetized, you know, and you know, we want people, and we're trying to attract all these different people, but none of it ever sticks. But at the same time, all this same stuff right here, it's gonna stick. Well, it's all gonna stick. It's all gonna do it because I'm magnetized. So that's what you want your life to be. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at the qualities that can help you really in this process determine, are you magnetic or non-magnetic? You know, really, are you magnetized or are you demagnetized? Ooh, my screen locked up on me. It did that to me the other day. Y'all bear with me a second. Okay. I'm going to go back and share this again. Okay, so let's take a look at this. The law of magnetism. A magnetized person usually has a high lid level. And they may not have started with the high lid level. Like when we came into this industry, did we have a high lid level?
No.
No. We did not have a high lid level.
No.
And consequently, did we have many friends get involved with this?
No, we did not. No.
I didn't have,
And if
I had a
they,
couple of friends,
but no,
but they were on the same lid level as me.
and they didn't come along.
Exactly. And they
'Cause
didn't stick and stay.
They didn't want to grow. When you don't grow, you go. So we saw lots of that.
Did any family member come with us?
My
side?
family, not on your side.
Zero
no,
on my
no,
side.
but my side,
You
yeah.
had like two.
Sister and
Yeah,
brother and
sister.
mom and dad.
Yeah, sister, brother, mom, and dad. So we had a low lid level, so people weren't attracted to us. We realized very quickly that we had to grow, and let's tell them right now. Very quickly, we realized, hey, we're missing something here. We didn't have this book either, but we realized people aren't going on direction. I mean, we want this thing to work, and we want to get wealthy. We want freedom. We want all these things. This is 1997. And we're busting it, and we're doing everything they said to do in the system. But we're getting a lot of no's, and it's from the people we love. And so we're like, why are the people that we love not attracted to us? Because our whole life was partying. We were just, if we threw a party, they would all come. But if we weren't throwing a party, then no one was coming. And now we wanted to engage in a business, and people weren't going our direction. Well, I quickly gravitated toward the owner of the company, because he was magnetic. He was tall, he was strong, he was resolute, he was confident, he dressed for success, and he was clear with his vision, and he was uncompromising, and I was drawn to that. So I immediately began to start emulating him. And to the point where, within 2 years, people were calling me by they were calling me like little Charlie, like his name was Charlie. So they saw him in me, and it was because I was emulating him.
Yeah. And the same thing happened to me. I mean, we're going to gravitate to people that we want to become more like, especially when in a business like this, or in life, as you're wanting to move up the ranks in whatever, success you're after, you're automatically going to gravitate to that. Well, there was a gal that was one of the top leaders in the company. And so I started wherever she was, I was going to be. If she was going to lead a meeting, I was at the meeting. If she was going to lead a training, I was at the training. I didn't know, and I didn't understand all of the big benefits, but I knew to pay attention to everything about her. I paid attention to the way she dressed. I paid attention to her mannerisms. I paid attention to the way she spoke and how she spoke. I mean, I was just an absolute, recorder. I was recording everything about her and wanting to find my way in it. Again, we're not trying to become somebody else. We're trying to emulate those things that draw us into saying, I want to be like that person.
Yeah.
And so it was really awesome how both of us had our people that we were leaning towards, and it paid off incredibly well.
In regards to leadership, we've told you several times, many times, that we believe wholeheartedly, without a shadow of a doubt, that Jesus was the greatest leader that ever walked the face of the earth. And there's just no comparison, because he was the perfect human being and the perfect leader. And, the Apostle Paul, who was an incredible leader in his own right, who wrote, I think 2/3 of the New Testament, the Apostle Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So he's saying, I'm imitating the leader, guys. It's just follow the leader. I'm imitating him. So imitate me as I imitate him. Don't imitate me because I tell you to imitate me. Imitate me as I imitate him. Okay, so that's what we were seeing, and started catching on to this concept in early on in this business 28 years ago. So a magnetized person is going to have confidence, and a demagnetized person is going to have fear. A magnetized person has faith. A demagnetized person has doubt. People on your list, the people on your list, you're probably seeing that they have faith. You're probably seeing that they have belief, because a demagnetized person has unbelief. They're not attracting anybody. All that is just like what I showed you with the steel and the magnetism of steel. A magnetized person has balanced energy. They're not spastic. There's people with a lot of energy, but they're spastic. They say spastic stuff. They they don't even realize they're spastic because you can't tell them they're spastic because they won't even listen to you. When, they'll ask you for advice and you give them advice and they argue with you about the advice that you give them. And then they doubt the advice you give them, but they're spastic and they're hyperactive. And it's just, it's just too much. Then there's relaxed intensity. And the opposite of relaxed intensity is, just aggressive when you don't even think you're being aggressive, but you are aggressive.
Aggressive and just over the
Yes.
top.
And you've got to examine these things because if your business is not going where you want it to go, there are little things. It's like little fine tuning, like fine tuning an engine under the hood. And if you can fine tune those little things, relaxed intensity is a huge key because we see people in and around our business who we love and we adore, but we can't go around telling all of our people that we know, hey, I can fix you. If you really want to make millions here, I can really fix you. Because it's obnoxious for one, and it's kind of dictatorial for two, and it's pompous. It's kind of pompous. But at the same time, we can see things in people through discernment and business savvy that are causing people to not go as fast as they want to go. And it's usually little things. It's not like they're all messed up. It's just little things. And some of those little things are just really too aggressive in how they talk to people. And they say robotic things. And I'll give you an example. There's a lot of people that have had success that haven't even had that much success, but have experience in direct sales through the years. And you try to use old tactics and old scripts and old ways of talking to people that don't work. Didn't work for you then, and it doesn't work now, but you think it sounds good. So you just use it. Guys, we've made tens of millions of dollars in this industry, and we've never had a script. It's not about you saying the same thing to everybody you get on the phone with, but some of you have little canned things that you say to everybody to try to get someone to get on the phone with you or get an appointment with them or whatever. And it's scripted in nature, and it's just abrasive, or it just sounds salesy. Repelling and things like that, instead of you just having some relaxed intensity and be authentic and be who you are and tell people what's on your heart at the moment when you're on the phone with them, why you want it, what the purpose is while you're talking to them, and what you have to offer them. And so the last one is, certain is the biggie. Magnetism comes through being certain. And when you're certain, when you just know that and we talked about certainty a couple of weeks ago. Everybody should watch that if you haven't watched it, from 2 weeks ago, because your life is about certainty. It's the certainty of how you think. It's the certainty of the seeds that you sow with your mouth, and it's the certainty of you believing that this is actually going to happen. And then uncertainty will cause everybody to fall away from you, and it just happens. Now, this just past week, we just saw many of our leaders, in and around for an entire week, in and around the swimming pool and around the resort, talking to people. And we got to see magnetism at work this week, that we're just in talking to strangers. But the ones that we saw and that we're so impressed with, it was people like Tory Brooks and people like Mark Delgado. And we're talking about one other person in Jim and
Rick Robertson.
Yeah, and Rick Robertson. Take those three guys, Rick Robertson, Tory Brooks, and Mark Delgado. And there's a lot of similarities in all three of them in their approach with people. They were recruiting people all week long. I don't even know how many new brand partners they got in Mexico, but all three of them, they weren't aggressive. They were just magnetic. And it was their confidence. It's their high lid level. It's their belief. It's their balanced energy. Like, you don't go on vacation and recruit someone at the pool without balanced energy. It's like, hey, you need to know about our company. We got this patch and this patch, and then you try to you're just trying to get all this LifeWave information in them, so, and they're just nodding their head at you going, please leave, I'm on vacation. Please leave, I'm on vacation. No, all three of these guys were about, it was just about caring for somebody and getting in the life of somebody and listening to them and getting to know them,
drawing them in.
Yes.
The magnetic energy that people were being drawn into them because these things are things that are natural with them. It's become part of who they are. And so therefore they are absolutely the law of magnetism.
Yeah.
It's working very, very well for them.
Yeah. And then we're on a call with Joe Navarro and on the team Zoom, and you got Joe Navarro, talking to a business owner. I think it was a doctor, wasn't it? Yeah. Or a wellness clinic person or something like, yeah, someone who runs a wellness clinic. You used it on the team Zoom the other night, talking about how she said, I have like patches from 5 different people in my drawer. And
several people have talked to me. I've 5 different patches. They've all sampled me.
Yeah. And so she had no interest in it whatsoever. And he goes, well, you haven't heard from me. You haven't heard the story from me. See, that's magnetism. When you can look someone in the eye and go, well, hold on here. And he said it, and says it with dignity. But you haven't heard from me yet. Let me tell you what this is all. So it's the strength of the cert, it's faith and belief. It is charisma. It's balanced energy, but it is confidence. It's all of this put together, where when Joe knows what he has in his hands, and that wellness person or that doctor sees it as something totally opposite, he turns them. You know how he turns them? With magnetism. And so you too can get better at magnetism, but it's going to be taking the list of those 3 people or 6 people total that you listed and start going through this kind of checklist and go, okay, what is it about those people that I listed that is really attractive to me? And do I have those same qualities? And if I don't have those qualities, how can I get those qualities? That was me in 1997. I studied the founder. I studied the guy that I wanted to emulate. And I studied what he said, and I said what he said. I studied what he said and how he said it. I studied the tone in which he said it. And I said things with the tone that he said it. It wasn't just repeating him. It was everything about him, even the way he dressed. And I started dressing in professional settings like he dressed in professional settings, even to the point where one time after a year or a year and a half, he came to me in a very private, high-level leadership meeting and pulled me into a corner and looked me in the eye and said, Danny, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the way you're dressed. And he goes, that means a lot to me. And then during the training, he actually ripped we were at a very fancy place, a very expensive place, hotel resort. And he actually ripped some of his other leaders on the way they were dressed and what they were wearing, and said, I'm feeding you 5-star food and putting you in 5-star places and giving you 5-star experiences in life, and you come to my leadership meeting dressed with a hat on backwards and t-shirt and jeans and things like that. And I'm like, wow. See, he didn't have to tell me that. I paid attention to details. And so you want to pay attention to every detail of those people you have on your list.
Because it goes back to, some of it's not just like your characters, but it also can be, like he said, in the way that you dress or in some of the things that you do. Maybe, I don't want to say anything that would offend anybody, but there's things that some people are not attracted to. And if some people are doing it, then it's something that other people, they just won't come around it. And so just keep in mind that even when it comes to your hygiene, even when it comes to your habits, these are all things that, you want to pay attention to and decide, is it more important than what you're wanting to accomplish? Because it's definitely making a difference in the type of people that will attract you.
Okay, Diane.
Okay, so, one of the things that when I think of the law of magnetism, I think about, the way that we make people feel. People may forget about what we say, but they'll never forget about how you make them feel. So that's so important that you keep that in mind as you're having conversations with your new members, or you're having conversations with on your 3-way phone calls, or even in your recruiting. Is like, how are you making somebody feel? So do you make them feel more confident or do you make them feel doubtful? Because we can make people feel doubtful as a result of the way we're having conversations with them. Do you make people feel believed in or questioned? That's another thing, you know, like if we're not mentoring somebody correctly, we can leave them questioning themselves, questioning if they can even do this. Like we want them to feel the belief. And then do we make them feel valued or dismissed? You know, are you not listening to them? Or do they not feel heard? Do they not feel like you care about their situation? Maybe they've got things going on in life, but you're still on them about what they're not doing and their, you know, in the daily method of operation that needs to continue. And so you're not valuing them, you're dismissing them. So which do you make them feel like? Do you make them feel hopeful or discouraged? That's another thing that's is so important, that people feel hope from you, that we are hope carriers. And that's exactly what we're bringing out to everybody. And then do you help people feel empowered or controlled? Remember, people don't have a boss here. We don't control anyone. We want to empower people. Remember, we're transferring skills. We're believing in people before they believe in themselves. So therefore, they have to feel empowered. They have to feel better after walking away from you, getting off the phone with you, or being around you than they did when they walked in the door or got on the phone with you. So what can you do better there to encourage them? What can you do better there to compliment them, to excite them, to, you know, give them vision? These are all things that are so important in the way that you help them feel about themselves whenever they leave the conversation.
And it's really being authentic with people. You know, when you encourage people and you say great things to people, it's you don't come up with canned things that you say to people just to try to be impressive, because that's so surface. You know, we started going to church in 2002, you know, one time where they had this lingo all through the church that for 3 years we were there. We were there as long as we lived in Nashville. But it was they had words like champ and strong and faith. So everywhere you went, you know, you'd meet people in the lobby or wherever, they go, hey, champ, you're strong, faith. And they always say those 3 words, champ, strong. And they could have cared less about you. Like we were there for.
Did you close the deal? If somebody wanted to write those down and they lost you.
So
go ahead.
So we were there for 3 years, and I heard that word so much, but we didn't have any intimate friendships. We didn't have any intimate relationships in those 3 years that we lived there before we moved back to Texas. And, you know, we loved the church because we loved the preaching. We loved the pastors. But as far as everybody that was in the church, they had this surface relation. Nashville, it was this Nashville wannabe, you know, just surface stuff. And there's no magnetism there. There was a bunch of talent and a bunch of skill, but no leaders. And we were, quite frankly, just appalled that we were there for 3 years and probably 2 of the top tithers in the church for 3 years and didn't have one single relationship out of that church during those 3 years. But it was all the language and the way people interacted. Nobody really wanted to get to know you. No one really wanted to know your heart. So guys, you as a leader, you want to get to know people. You want to get to know their heart. You want to, and it reciprocates as well. But this business is not so much, I said it a while ago earlier when Diane and I, after our prayer time, it's more, it's not about what all you have to say to someone. It's not always about LifeWave. It's really about life. You know, the wave will come, but it's about life. It's about getting to know them and them getting to know you instead of trying to just get a bunch of information to them. We worry about the information way too much instead of worrying about the connection. And when we get the connection right, the information comes. And that comes from being magnetic at the end of the day. So that's it for today. It's really simple. You attract who you are.